Call the meeting of the North Little Rock Planning Commission to order, please. Ms. Keisha, would you please call the roll?
Alexander, Banks,
Present.
Glasgow, Chambers,
Present.
Dietz, Foster,
Here.
Phillips, White, Chairman Clifton.
Here. Do I hear a motion?
So motion to excuse those not present.
Motion made and seconded to excuse those commissioners not present. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. If you have your cell phones on, please turn them off. And if you need the Planning Commission procedures, they are on the back of an agenda that you can pick up. Mr. Spencer, on administrative, you have something on the Planning Commission calendar?
We've included the calendar for next year, so
Okay.
you all have a calendar. And just want to note that subdivision meeting this month is not next week, it's on the 29th.
Okay.
So it's the week after Christmas, or week after Thanksgiving. So
Okay.
don't show up next Wednesday, it's going to be the Wednesday after that,
Okay, good.
the 29th. That's all we have, so the calendar's there, and it's online for the public to.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Spencer. You have been submitted a copy of the minutes of our previous meetings. Are there any additions or corrections?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to be approved as submitted. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We'll move right into our Development Review Committee report. Mr. Don Chambers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The committee met and considered item SD 2017-63, North Shore Business Park, lots 11 RA and 11 RB, preliminary plat and site plan review of an industrial lot located at the northwest corner of North Shore Lane and North Shore Drive. The applicant was present, agreed to items 1 through 10 in subsections, and with that, the Development Review Committee recommends approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded that it be approved as submitted. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak for or against this application? Any comments from any of the commissioners? All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? Thank
Item-
you.
Item B is SD 2017-64, D&B Commercial Park, Lot 17, site plan review of a pharmacy warehouse located on Michelia Drive. The applicant was present and agreed to items 1 through 10 in subsections, and with that, the Development Review Committee recommends approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded that this application be approved as submitted. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on this application? Any comments from any of the commissioners? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Next item is SD 2017-65, Family Dollar Edition, Lot 1, site plan review of a Family Dollar located at 5609 MacArthur Drive. The applicant was present and agreed to items 1 through 10 and subsections with one revision at a meeting prior to this meeting today. The applicant met with the Design Review Committee, and the following item is amended. That would be item 5G, and that is to allow the front yard landscape strip as shown on the plans submitted this date for review.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded that this application be approved as submitted. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on this application, for or against? Any comments from any of the commissioners? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Item D is SD 2017-66, Spring Hill Baptist Memorial Medical Center, Lot 1, site plan review of medical offices and educational space located on Spring Hill Drive. The applicant was present, agreed to items 1 through 10 in subsections, and with that, Development Review Committee recommends approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded that this application be approved as submitted. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this application, for or against? Any comments from any of the commissioners? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Item E is SD 2017-68, Calvary Edition, Lot 1, site plan review of a chapel located at 1401 Calvary Road. The applicant was present and agreed to items 1 through 10 and subsections, and with that, the Development Review Committee recommends approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded that this application be approved as submitted. Is there any comments from anyone in the audience? For or against? Any comments from any of the commissioners? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Ms. Keisha, please let the records reflect that I did not vote on this application.
And that concludes the Development Review Committee's report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chambers. We'll move right into our public hearing. Case number 1 is conditional use case number 2017-10 to allow a car lot in a C4 zone located at 2001 East Broadway in North Little Rock. Is the applicant here? Yes. Okay, come. And give us your name for the record, please. Come right to the microphone. Give us your name.
Shalonda Tidwell.
And you are representing Mr. Brockington?
No, I'm gonna help Mr. Brockington.
I'm sorry?
I'm not representing him. My car lot is, we helping each other. I'm gonna help him with his car lot across the street.
Okay,
Brockington's the owner of the property.
okay.
Not
So
the
you're
business.
across the street from Brockington Motors, that empty lot there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Then you have been before the Design Review Committee?
Yes,
And
sir.
have you been given a copy of the things that would be recommended to you?
Yes, sir.
And do you approve to all of those?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other comments from anyone in the audience? Any comments from any of the commissioners? All in favor, aye?
Go ahead, call the roll.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Ms. Keisha, please call the roll.
Banks,
Yes.
Plaska,
Yes.
Chambers,
Yes.
Deets. Foster,
Yes.
Phillips,
Yes.
Chairman Clifton.
Yes. Your application did pass. If you'll get with Mr. Spencer, he can tell you what to do.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good luck.
Case number 2, conditional use case number 2017-11, to allow a contractor's office with outdoor storage in a C4 zone located at 701 Judy Drive. Is the applicant here? Yes, give us your name, please.
Good afternoon, Brandon Rogers. I'm with Colliers International. I'm representing the owner, and this is one of the owners, Bobby Gosser, Baldwin and Shell.
Okay? You have been before the Design Review Committee,
Yes, sir.
and have you been submitted a copy of the recommendations?
Yes, we have.
Do you agree with those?
Yes, we do.
Okay, good. Any other comments from anyone in the audience on this application? Any comments from any of the commissioners? On the application, please call the roll.
Banks,
Yes.
Plaska,
Yes.
Chambers,
Yes.
Deets. Foster,
Yes.
Phillips,
Yes.
Chairman Clifton.
Yes. Your application did pass. If you'll get with Mr. Spencer, he can tell you what to do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any further business before the commission? Mr. Chambers?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. It's just very, very difficult for me to get here at 4 o'clock, and I move that we move our meeting back to 4:45 the way it was. And I'd like to make this motion today, table it, and vote on it at the next meeting so everybody can talk about it and think about it and see what they want to do. Don't want to rush it.
Okay, a motion is made.
I will second it, since I'm the one late every,
Motion is made and seconded
at least 4:30.
that the meeting be postponed back until, or reset back until 4:45.
Way we had it before.
Okay, and we will withhold discussion until next week, or next
We can
month?
discuss it now, I just don't want to vote on it
All
until next
right,
week.
does anyone want to discuss now? Discussion 4? Discussion 4?
Well, I don't know, it's discussed forward right now, but I had a couple of questions. You know, my attitude with that was, how did it make any difference what time we met? I wanted to make sure we accommodate the folks we're supposed to be serving here, you know, and I said, well, let's try it at 4 o'clock. If we heard any complaints from, you know, any of the applicants or any of the citizens or, you know, whoever we serve here, then I would want to revisit this. And so I guess the question is to our staff, have you all heard any complaints or about moving the time? And
The only time there's complaints is when it's a heated topic. So, I mean, here, we've got zero here tonight, but like the gas station down by the Plantopia, you know, people complain, but it was a heated topic. But other than something that's real on the edge of something, we received no
it
comments.
looks like to me that, you know, what we did is, you know, until I looked into other communities around, looks like most of the communities around us have set 4 o'clock as the standard. So, you know, a lot of our applicants, you know, especially our engineers and architects and a lot of developers, they deal on both sides of the river and around the community, and they're kind of setting out at 4 o'clock with other communities here that, you know, have planning commission. So sometimes it's hard to keep up with all these different times and dates for these commissions when you're dealing with different ones.
John, when we had that meeting on the, excuse me. When we had that meeting on the service station down there, our C-store next to Plantopia, did any of the people that were here express a desire for us to meet later?
Not during the meeting, no.
Okay.
Thanks.
I guess I was going to ask more specifically, what were the concerns that were expressed?
Some of the comments were, you know, we purposely moved the meeting earlier so people couldn't come, so certain things could get approved. And, you know, that's not usually.
Didn't get approved.
Yeah.
In other words, they were more or less accusing us of colluding to move the meeting this one specific time, so not enough people could come to be there.
Another follow-up question is with staff. What staff's, has there been any concerns with staff regarding the current time or the previous time or anything, or what works best for staff?
We're here to provide the service to the Planning Commission. So everybody was hired with the knowledge that the meeting could be at night or during the day. Okay. Now, I've heard both sides, but, you know, when we meet early, when we met later, they were getting comp time. And now that we're meeting, you know, during work hours, they're not getting comp time. But that was the only, but again, we're here to provide to the public, so it's not an issue for the staff.
Mr. Chambers?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to just say, about 10 years ago, we used to meet at either 3:30 or 4 o'clock, and we had, I guess, at the end of several controversial issues, the commission chose to move it back to 4:45 so that the public could more fully participate in the discussions, to avoid this whole idea that, well, you're doing something sneaky, that's why you meet when we can't be there, okay? So it helps the public. It also helps some of the commissioners that work for a living to get their own time. So, not that any of y'all don't work for a living, but some of us can't get out of the office in time.
Mr. Chairman,
Foster?
you know, like I said before, you know, we're here to, you know, work for the citizens of North Little Rock. I'm thinking, should we have advertise and for our next meeting, have a public hearing, and then if we do that, will anybody come? You know, I don't know. I don't want to just have a public hearing, nobody show up.
Mr. Chambers?
Offer a compromise, and that would be, let's say we know, this is take a little bit of predictive ability. If we know there's going to be an issue that will be controversial, and staff would probably be more aware of it than we would possibly. But if we know there's going to be an issue that's controversial, can we basically state that that issue will not be heard until 4:45, 5 o'clock. We can meet at 4 all we want. I mean, if I'm late, I'm late. But but that way, we're giving the public every opportunity to express themselves on a controversial issue on the rare occurrences when they come up. They come up, what, once, maybe twice a year? That would be a compromise.
In response, Mr. Banks, to what Mr. Spencer said about the people commenting about the 4 o'clock time, if you paid real good attention to what he said about what the people said about the 4 o'clock time, it wasn't about, in my opinion, it wasn't about meeting 4 o'clock or 4:45. It was them thinking that we're doing something underhanded to start with. So if it's 4:45 or 4 o'clock, the 5 o'clock people is going to say it's wrong anyway. So I myself, I like getting out a little bit earlier, and when we have a long meeting, which we haven't had very many long meetings in recent months, but I like to get away a little bit earlier, and when we have a longer meeting, you know, a lot of times we're out here at 6:30 sometimes. So I don't think the 45 minutes that we're moving this forward is going to hurt anyone that has a concern that wants to be here about that issue. Mr. Phillips?
I was the one who brought this up when it was done back however long ago it was, but, you know, I hadn't had one person call me and complain about it starting at 4 o'clock. Not one person, except I think Ms.
What's your
You
number?
made a comment, but it made it kind of hard for you to get her.
Oh, well, I said that when we voted.
But,
Well, Andy,
And I
I'll
voted
get
for
there's-
it, but I said it was gonna be a problem.
but I have not had one person call me and say anything about, I can't get there, you know, so.
I'll get your number from staff and give you some calls. How's that?
My number's on there, they can call me all they want to, there ain't no problem, I have them call me about other issues. but
Mr.
not
Dees?
about being here.
You know, we were all here when we had that controversial deal down on North Hills Boulevard. And we didn't have a shortage of people here to talk about that particular instance. I think if, from my standpoint, I like meeting at the 4 o'clock hour, but whatever the commission decides to vote on, I'll, you know, go along with it.
Thank you, Mr. Dees. Mr. Banks?
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of problem with the 4 o'clock, but, you know, if there's some concerns about, you know, timeliness, I could support a 4:30 time frame. I don't know that that's, you know, I know that's only 15 minutes from the 4:45, but I know we're tabling this, and I've actually let staff know that the next 2 months I'm actually going to be out of town on business, so I won't be available to vote. But I'm comfortable with supporting, you know, 4:30. I mean, I have a little bit of a challenge, but I try to adjust my schedule because I know this meeting is being held on this day, but I'm driving from Southwest Little Rock, so I tend to have a challenge whether it's 4 o'clock, 4:30, 4:45. So my challenge is not being adjusted by changing the time. But I would support either way. But if it was down to 4:45, I'd rather move it to 4:30, if, you know, just for the sake of the extra 15 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Banks. Ms. Belasco?
And I just want to reiterate what y'all have all said, kind of my schedule. It wouldn't make a doggone if we had it at 3 or at 9 o'clock at night. Chances are I'm going to have conflict. It's just the nature of my job. And I want to accommodate all y'all, staff, and the public. So whatever's decided, I'll go. And it's not a problem. I'll make it work. But I said when we voted that it was going to be, I was cutting my nose off, and I knew I would be. But I don't know, it's, like I said, it's just my job, so I don't need to probably even comment.
Thank you, Ms. Belasco. Mr. Chambers?
Yes, we're online on Facebook at this time, and I would ask that anyone who's watching, if you have an opinion, call the planning department and tell them what you think.
Okay.
Mr.
All
Chairman?
5 of them.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know how the other board members feel, but I don't need to procrastinate over this another month. I'm ready to vote on it now.
Well, I was merely not wanting to rush anybody. I'm going to ask the public to chime in, like I say, all 5 of them, and there's no hurry on this. There's no hurry.
Banks returns, I guess.
Yeah, it could be tabled until Mr. Banks returns.
Well, now that pushes it over into January because I'm gonna miss the next 2 months, but
That's fine.
I'm not in any disagreement, so I would support whatever the majority goes with. I hate to be the deciding factor, but I would support either way.
I move that we table this issue until our January meeting. Is it 2 months, Mr. Banks?
Yes, I'm gonna miss December and January.
Okay, I move that we table this until our February meeting.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded that this item, this motion be tabled until our February meeting. All in, well, just call the roll now, please.
Banks,
Yes.
Blaska,
Yes.
Chambers,
Yes.
Deets, Foster. Phillips,
No.
Chairman Clifton.
No. What do you got?
4-3.
4-3, ayes have it.
Okay, the ayes have it. We will postpone this until the February meeting, at which time it'll be brought back up.
Yeah.
Okay, Ms. Belasco?
I just have a question about Miss Alexander.
Called this morning and tried to get her to answer and got no answer and
I
asked.
think that's 5 to pass an ordinance.
Okay, but you don't know if she's still in the
I
hospital?
don't think it's 5 to pass a vote like this. We'll ask.
Administrative, it's not a,
Alderman Robinson spoke with her, and she was at home when she
Okay.
talked to her.
I just wondered, because she hadn't been here in a while.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. What about Ms. Alexander?
They wanted to know if she was in the hospital, and from what I've been told, Alderman Robinson spoke to her last month, and she was at home.
Okay.
But she had been in the hospital.
Okay, all right. Counselor, question has been raised. We have a 4-3 vote on the past issue to table. What about the 5-vote rule to pass?
I was just checking here because I wasn't really sure if we even needed a vote on tabling, but I was trying to check here.
I figured the issue was administrative rather than regulatory, so
Yeah,
we're managing ourselves.
yeah, I don't think that there's a problem with on this particular issue because
Okay.
it is, as Mr. Chambers has said, an administrative issue here.
Okay.
It's not related to regulation
Right.
or planning business.
Okay. Mr. Banks?
Yeah, I don't mind making it known. One of the reasons I supported voting for the delay more than anything else was just in case there is those, since we've made it known that we're considering changing, if we hear any complaints now, again, that doesn't mean I was really supporting making the change. I would just want to allow the public an opportunity. If for some reason here over the next couple of months, we hear from somebody, since we're talking about it and they're aware of it, then we may now hear something.
Okay.
And if we do,
I was saying,
but if we don't, and, you know, no harm, no foul, we just continue it like we're doing.
that was my same reasoning also.
Well, those 5 people could call in and say they're fine with 4 o'clock, you know?
Any other business before the commission?
Move we adjourn.
Motion made and seconded. We adjourn. All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Thank
Thanksgiving,
you.
everybody.
Everyone have a very happy Thanksgiving. Eat well.
Good turkey.